Hello, welcome to game 3 of my match against Nottoobad in League Division C4. Let's see what we got going here. We got Experiments, we got Procession, we got Armory. Yeah, so we had a lot of crazy stuff here. Inheritance is nice, but the Experiments Procession stuff just seems super crazy. I'm pretty sure I'm opening with one pair of Experiments here no matter what. The only question is, do you try to get like a Monastery or something to do some thinning along the way? And I really don't know. This seems like a pretty crazy kingdom. I could even grab a Procession here and hope to hit it with one of my Experiments, and then it just takes off. The way the Procession stuff with Experiments works, the Experiment actually returns to the pile, so it doesn't get trashed, but you're drawing 4 cards and you're getting another 4 cost, which could be Procession or, you know, Ironworks or Armory. Both those are pretty nice. Ironworks is non-terminal, which is nice, but Armory gains the top of your deck. So processing an Armory gains me two cards at the top of my deck, and then like a Laboratory, which I can play, which is pretty sweet. Somehow you'd like to get to 7 and get Inheritance, and then inherit Experiments, which let you play all of your estates as Experiments and not return them. Hitting 6 and getting Innovation is also nice with Experiments and Process and Armory and Ironworks and stuff, but you know, how are you getting that many coins, and which turn are you getting that many coins on? You also notably can't Procession the estates that have the Inheritance card on them. Can you? Yes, you can. You can Procession estates, it looks like. They have the 5-2, which seems really sad, unfortunately, for them. I feel bad, as they kind of just got to go lab Monastery, I guess, and hope that I don't kick off before they can add the pieces to their deck. The only question for me is whether I grab the Armory or the Procession already. The advantage to the Armory is, depending on when I draw it, I can use it to top deck a Procession for the next turn and give me a little bit more control. If I draw the Procession turn 3 without either of the Experiments, I'm really, really sad. If I draw the Armory turn 3 without either of the Experiments, I'm quite happy. If I draw the Armory turn 3 with 1 Experiment, again, I'm really happy because I know I can process the second Experiment next turn. And if you draw both Experiments turn 3 with the Armory, then you're playing Experiment, Experiment, Armory at the end, and how does that work? Experiment, Experiment, Armory, then you're drawing 4 cards to the deck, so you have a 7-card hand. So you are triggering a clean shuffle with what's ever on top, and that thing on top is probably another Armory. It seems really close to me whether you get the Armory or the Procession here. I think because they missed their they missed Procession stuff, I can play a little. I think the Armory is a little bit more conservative, but I think I can afford to play that because I had the 5-2 opening. Yeah, so this is fine. I top deck a Procession here and just buy a Monastery, I guess. Do a little bit of thinning, and maybe I thin and never get Inheritance, which seems fine. Here I'll probably grab another Procession. I'm gonna trigger a shuffle here with the Experiments, which seems fine. And I'm gonna have a ton of coins. I had 2 coins, so I'm actually gonna hit 7 here, I believe. Under most cases, I've got, well, I guess I'm not going to hit 7. That doesn't make any sense. But I'll hit, what is this? I'll hit 5. I have 5 down here and an estate. And I'll gain a Procession into the shuffle, I think. And then play the last Experiment to trigger a shuffle, probably. Or I could just buy like a lab. Which doesn't seem any better. Like, Experiments seem pretty strictly better than labs here, the way things work. I can actually, well, I'm always doing Procession Experiment here, so I can pause and think now. I have 2 estates, 2 coppers, and Armory, and a Monastery down there. So the card I really want to see this turn, for example, is another Armory, probably. I can top deck something, so I could put another Armory into the deck here draw on, and if I hit the Armory, then I'm pretty happy. If not, I probably just end up buying more experiments. I can also see a couple of coppers, which is nice. It seems unlikely. Probably most likely draws like Copper Estate, which isn't great. But the Armory seems pretty nice for what I'm doing here. And my next turn is going to be sad, though. Yeah, my next turn feels like it's going to be a little bit sad. That's 6 cards. So if I play this experiment, I'm triggering a kind of sad shuffle. So I could gain an Ironworks, avoid terminal collision, and play the experiment to try to hit innovation, maybe. I think that's... The other thing is another Procession, another Armory. I'm kind of torn on all these things. I'm going to take the Procession. And if I draw it, I feel a little bit bad, but processing the Armory next turn feels pretty nice. Okay, and I somewhat drew the high roll. Here I'll just top deck an experiment and buy innovation. So now whatever 4 cost I draw here, I get to gain. It's not impossible I can draw a deck here. I may not. I'm hoping to obviously play the inheritance this turn. Okay, play the experiment twice. I get to gain a card for 4 coins. I have played the experiment twice. I drew Copper Monastery, Copper Procession. I get to gain a card costing 4 coins and play it. So I can gain an Armory, top deck an experiment, and then gain experiment, and then just end turn trash 3 with the Monastery. I can also gain a Procession, process Procession into Laboratory. Doesn't do very much for me right now. So what I do, gain an Armory, top deck some experiments, trash, don't buy anything because the Haunted Woods attack is quite annoying. Innovate, experiments. One of those went to the top of my deck. I don't have anything left to process. And I don't want to buy anything. And I can trash, and I am going to give up on the Inheritance Dream with the spinning here, because I think the spinning here is just too fancy to pass up. And I think I'll be able to empty like Armories, Processions, and Labs or something in a couple of turns, in like 3 turns, turn 8 maybe. We'll have to work out the exact path to emptying, but in general, processing Armory lets me gain all the experiments, and then processing experiments lets me gain processes, and then you just end up with a ton of labs at the end of the day. Maybe you just get some Haunted Woods and put those in play if you need to guarantee kickoff. But here they're going to play Inheritance, and I assume they're going to inherit Experiment. Okay. So the nice thing about having gotten Innovation is I can now play Armory to innovate a Procession to play the experiments 4 times. I think I want to get another Procession here. Play the experiments. Okay, I ran out of stuff to process. So just gain more experiments, including one at the top of the deck. How many cards did I gain this turn? Well, it doesn't really matter. I can put this into play and decide. So I've got 6 money. I already have Innovation. Didn't hit 7. I don't really want to buy a Haunted Woods. Doesn't do anything now that they've got inherited stuff. So I'm thinking just another pair of experiments. That's how my deck, I think, gets broken. And then just trash everything, every money, and say I don't need money anymore this kingdom. Because I'm experimenting for everything. If I do need money, I can like gain and play Ironworks, but we'll see. I should be able to gain money in some way if I need to. Ironworks Armory fortune tellers or something if I need to, if I'm not piling out this turn. Perhaps I do need to consider that how I get to 8 for province because I can't pile out. But I feel like that's a consideration I can make later once my deck is spinning and doing powerful broken things. They don't have any processions yet, I don't think. So there's also the question I could just like liquidate and grab some Haunted Woods this turn, some Ironworks and Silvers, and feel like my deck is miles ahead. Okay, so I think I'm always doing process, experiment. Play the experiment twice, which gains me a procession, which I use to process a procession, or just another experiment. I don't think I need to process experiments quite yet. Gain Armory. What do I want to gain here? Like there seems like there is some advantage for me to gain some fortune tellers. They seem to help them more than they help me, but I do want to get money in the deck fairly quickly now because I can end the game as soon as I have enough money to buy a province. But maybe I just gain 2 fortune tellers. I could also just gain some silvers along the way, but that doesn't feel particularly useful. Yeah, this seems fine to gain 2 fortune tellers and Haunted Woods, and then play the experiment, and we'll gain another procession and another Haunted Woods. Play the fortune teller twice, gaining another experiment and another lab, perhaps. 2 Haunted Woods feels like enough. Process. I suppose I can play this experiment now. I do have a lab down there that I can get to, so that seems fine. I appear to be out of draw, which maybe was a mistake on my part, but play that twice, gain another Armory, process the Armory to gain a bunch of experiments, so I have those for next turn. Grab another lab, play the Haunted Woods, and actions. Play this copper and just buy a province. I've got tons of extra draw. I know what's on top, and this turn I can focus on emptying the processions and armories potentially. I'm running out of processions actually. I trashed 2 last turn. Okay, I've got plenty. So yeah, just focus on processing the experiments, gain more stuff. In fact, the goal of this turn, I think, is just to gain the rest of the processions, make sure that Not Too Bad can't do any procession tricks, and figure out from there how to end the game. That felt a little bit weak that turn, wasting stuff on fortune tellers to get up to 8, but I felt like if they got a province this turn, I was down 2 provinces. My deck does a little bit struggle to score, even though it empties action piles very, very quickly. So just having that province and knowing that they're not able to do the spinning stuff puts me in a pretty good place here. Again, they had the 5-2 opening, which is quite sad here. Even though they did spike inheritance quite quickly. Once I got innovation going and process loops, we'll see. Perhaps they're able to empty the estates here and the processions. That doesn't seem impossible to me. I guess Ironworks is a card that you could use to gain estates. So we'll see if they're going for the win now. It looks like they are. What did they inherited Ironworks? Okay, so maybe they just have the win here and I completely misjudged this kingdom. Do they have enough draw and actions? Huh, wow. I for sure thought that they couldn't accomplish this. I just assumed they inherited Ironworks. Taking the Humbling is interesting, and having to play an experiment is interesting. They have 11 estates, so they have in theory 6 more games. And they only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a buy. So they must have bottom decked a couple of estates for this not to work. If they don't just have it already. Wow, I'm pretty surprised that this Ironworks stuff is working. Maybe I took too many provinces. Maybe I took too many processions last turn. Or maybe I shouldn't have taken the experiments last turn. I could have taken more armories, more ironworks myself last turn, but we'll see. They're not immediately finding it, it looks like. They took the crumbling, which gives them a VP, but doesn't help them at all. It draws a card. So again, they've got 5 gains left, and they need 4. They need 5 to win. So if there's an estate in the bottom 3, they may not have a win here. And I have to try to find a win in my next turn somehow. Not sure what they're asking to undo back to. Yeah, it's only 1 decision point. And they do lose the game immediately. Well, they don't lose the game, but it does end their turn. I'm surprised. I'd be surprised if they have a pile out and they took the crumbling for no reason. Or now they just have to completely reconsider, or maybe they were just not. They had counted it out exactly and were just they had over gains for the win. Yes, they've got 11 points. This seems to indicate that they've got it, and they just got the crumbling for no reason. I'm not quite sure. Or they don't think I can get 5 points on my next turn. They did process some estates along the way. So they did lose some VP from Procession on points along the way. I, in theory, can Armory gain a crumbling castle, trash it with Monastery, buy a province. That's like 8 VP. Okay, so they didn't have a win there. So now the question is, how do I get... now the question is, how do I get 12 VP on my turn? So how do I get a charm to get a plus buy? The answer is, I don't think there's a possible way. So now the question is there anything I can do to gain enough VP to win? At all? Or is this just a game over immediately? So one thing I can do is return all of my experiments. That seems pretty logical to me, and not buy any more. So yeah, I mean, it was good I got the province, but I don't have any way to catch up now. Their deck is a lot worse than mine. Unfortunately, Procession only gains actions, which makes this quite hard to do. I should have an Armory down there, and I can process Armory into Armory. Definitely want to gain an Armory. Play that to gain another Armory. At some point I need to consider getting Ironworks, because yeah, I'll do that now even. Ironworks, and grab a couple of Ironworks. Ironworks can give me silvers, which I can use to buy province, or maybe I just buy crumbling seems fine. I think I want to Armory gain crumbling. I have an Ironworks already, so I am planning on processing a fortune teller here. Gain a Haunted Woods. Okay, I need the action, so I need to process all of my experiments. Gain an Ironworks. So process, Ironworks lab, probably. Gain a card. This has got to be that. Gain another lab. I'm going to play the lab twice. Well, I guess I need to play the fortune teller twice. Gain another Ironworks and another lab. Draw both of those. So I've returned some experiments. I cannot buy a province here. I'm just going to play 2 Haunted Woods and buy a charm, I suppose, and try to get up to double province, which feels terrible, but I don't quite know what else I'm supposed to do. Buy a charm, Monastery, trash this crumbling castle for the 1 VP. And get rid of the silver, copper as well. I don't think that will make, well, I don't need to trash a copper. Okay, now I see if they have an easy win here. With my charm, I should be able to double province next turn with best play, which gets me to 20. So we'll see if they just have an easy pile out here. They would have to have 5 estates in hand for that to work out of 11. So how did this work? They got Experiment turn 3, Experiment turn 4, and Haunted Woods and Inheritance turn 5. Interesting, okay. So the other thing they could do is lower piles and take like a duchy or something, although that seems difficult for their deck to take duchy. Honestly, it seems quite difficult for my deck to take double province. I need to do a lot of procession tricks and process fortune teller armories and fortune tellers and stuff. I've got the charm, 2 silvers and a copper, so that's 7. Ironworks can gain silvers, I guess. So the Ironworks gaining silvers is how that works. I don't actually need the fortune teller stuff anymore. And I'm starting the turn by drawing 6. And worst comes to worst, I can gain experiments along the way. So I should be able to draw a deck. I've got 3 labs, 4 labs. I'm interested in what they're doing here. They're lowering quite significantly. I mean, they could just be denying me experiments on my turn. Which doesn't make it easier. It makes it, I mean, if I can get 2 provinces, I can also process stuff. So there's even a thought to like starting by processing lab, but obviously I prefer to process experiments and empty experiments and processions as my 2 piles. So like it's possible that if they didn't touch the experiments pile that I could get the 2 provinces, but not do that and empty. I'm not sure though. This is turning into a really interesting and kind of crazier kingdom than I thought with their strategy. You know, hitting 17 on turn 7, but not quite enough for the 3 pile. Clearly they don't have a win here. Unless there's like a non-deterministic win that they think they have. This just feels like a lot of lowering when I can just fairly easily gain and play some processions. They have 2 silvers in hand? Or are they just setting up for next turn? I'm really confused here. One thing they could have done is not play the experiment, gain some experiments, and then buy a copper to top deck it. Okay, so they gave me a turn. What do I need to do to win? I need to get to 16 money. I need to add 9 money to the deck, which is Ironworksing for 3 silvers. And I should have armories still. I should have a couple of armories still, so I can even top deck. So what I think makes sense to do is start by processing a lab, because some amount of draw will be needed. Well, I can play 1 lab at least. So I can process, lab, Ironworks, silver. That seems like a good start. And then I've got an armory down there that I can use, or I can just use these processions. So Ironworks, procession, innovate, procession, lab. So now process procession. Again, yeah, iron armory for procession, silver, lab, armory for silver, lab, lab, lab. Okay, lab. Okay, so I've got 11 here. So I've got 11 money. So I can process this lab. What is in my discard pile? Mostly labs. So I can process this lab to get into the labs. And then Ironworks for silvers and draw those with the labs. And this is more labs, right? So this is 11, 13 money. So if I process this lab, silver, silver, draw. Wowzers, what a crazy game. Double province, and I win. Okay, thanks for watching that one. That was a completely insane game. I thought I was winning easily, and then I thought I was clearly lost, and back and forth, and all sorts of stuff happens there. So obviously, we'll see afterwards if people give some commentary on the craziness of that game. It was pretty cool. Happy to win it, and we move on to game 4.